Here's a guy bragging that he politicized a group of 13-year-olds that are just trying to have a fun time at camp and want to appease their camp counselor who seems cool because they're young. So he takes advantage of that, not by inspiring them to be greater or to be better versions of themselves, but for them to follow his bullshit politics.
I was a camp counselor for 1 week and turned an entire cabin of 13-year-olds into leftists. Here's how. It started on day one when the kids of their own volition decided to have an election to see who would be president of the cabin. They had me track votes anonymously, and I may have broken the tie in favor of the obviously queer kid. Another kid who was weirdly obsessed with Russian history then asked if he could be Mikhail Gorbachev to the cabin, to which I said, I don't think so. You could be Karl Marx, though. He was thrilled. The kids then, somewhat clumsily, started discussing the merits of their communism.
So one of the kids wants to, call himself Gorbachev, who ended the Soviet Union, and he said no to that. So he's not a fan of Gorbachev for liberating the Soviet Union and essentially ending communism. I know I still call Russia communist, and it annoys a lot of you baby monsters, but it basically is. But technically, no. On paper, no.
Somewhat clumsily started discussing the merits of their communist government. It probably would have ended there, but on day 2, the president told me he had trouble sleeping the night before and asked me if I...
So these kids are trying to have a democratic election to see who's president, and he steers them away from that, away from freedom and choice, and over to a dictatorship. You should be fired. And what's more is, cops have a lot of shit to say. They can't say it or they know they'll get fired. But these people, these libs of TikTok, they know they're not going to get fired. So they can just spew all this bullshit.
The night before, and asked me if I had anything to read. I had exactly one book with me, The ABCs of Socialism. This kid read the entire book in one night. The next day, another kid asked for it.
So wait a minute. That means that you let him have Mountain Dew at 8 p.m., and ruined a major part of his camping experience, especially if it was a week. That's basically 2 days down the drain.
Another. By day 4, Karl Marx proposed that our cabin cheer be the communist cabin, where everyone is equal, and everyone agreed.
Except for the gays, the intellectuals, the creative types, they had to be purged. So we had a little genocide that was in the cabin, and we killed a third of the people there. The another third starved to death, and then the final third, the ruling class, they actually did quite well under this. So the moral of the story is communism is even more elitist than any other system. It's a fucking dictatorship, you stupid piece of shit.